Right on, man. Well, thank you for doing this. This is a while in the making. I think we've been poking each other for a few years now to get this rolling.
I know, totally.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So
Uh,
right out of the gate, before you're into tunes and stuff, like what are your parents playing in the house, in the Will's house as a kid growing up? What are you being influenced by?
oh, what am I playing?
No, well, yeah, for your kids, I guess, but no, I was saying like when you were a little
Oh,
kid.
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to rename myself. You know who I am. You know I'm not my son Falcon.
Falcon, yeah, no.
Yeah. He's at school. The first thing that I really remember about digital media was the fact that we had a little Texas Instruments thing that you could program. It was like kind of like, I don't know, if you spoke DOS or whatever, you could make it do shit. And my brother wrote a code from a book, but wrote a code that made a ball, and then, oh, that's kind of cool. It's a good reflection. Yeah, made these balls on my arm, and then made them bounce like on the screen. It was so cool, and it blew my mind. And then we were playing like adventure, where you're a fucking brick running around this this maze where everything's the same looking room, where they change colors and the door's on a different side, or it's top on the, yeah. So, and that was fun too, finding like that Easter egg that was the one of the programmer or designers names is like the first Easter egg in any video game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that type of shit. And then we had great arcades in Omaha that I still weep that they're not there anymore, because I'd love to take my kids there to the loud ass smoky
I know, right?
Just
big roll of quarters and away we go.
Yeah, so much fun. So yeah, it was stuff like that. It's pretty typical 80s stuff. I was born in 74.
Right. And what is the music then in the house then? Like, is it what are your parents playing when you're a little kid?
Yeah, my parents didn't play that much. They hate
really?
they hate when I say this. Yeah, but I think that was, what's that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it came off crazy to me too. But I don't remember music really being in other people's houses too. It was like something you'd do in the car, but at home it was more quiet. We had an 8-track player. We had great Eagles' greatest hits. We had the Muppets Christmas. We had a couple other things, but yeah, there wasn't a lot of music laying around. And I remember I like, my stepdad made me rent his radio from him for like, cents on the day, just to kind of teach me some economy and capitalism bullshit. And and then I could have music in my room. So I would listen to 92.3, which was like a rock station in Omaha, and avoid like the pop station because it was so poppy. Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of my start. And then we had tape players, and yeah, me and my brother actually introduced music into the house more than anybody. And my brother's like my biggest musical influence because he taught me about essentially like crate digging, finding great stuff that no one else is listening to, and then teaching other people about that, and then learning from them what they're into. It's kind of like your Q&A that you're pulling me through. So yeah, it's just like that. Like, and then he picked up the saxophone when I was like 6 or 7, something like that, and that was the end. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that too. I'm not gonna blow tunes, but I'm gonna play music for sure.
Yeah. What was your first concert?
First concert, excuse me, was a talent show. Cheers. In Omaha, Nebraska, where we played Taste of Pain from
Chili Peppers?
The Say Anything soundtrack. What's that?
Not the Chili Peppers. Yeah. Taste of Pain, yeah.
Yeah, such a song. So much
great
fun.
Song.
Yeah, it was great. It was me, the original guitarist from 311, Jimmy Watson, who's now an amazing brewer in Omaha. He's got a company called Pint Nine.
Oh, cool.
They make great everything. He's a badass. And then a drummer named Ray Porter. And we actually played under the moniker, we were called the 311 Band.
No, really? Serious?
Yeah.
Cool,
yeah.
Man.
And that was like, I don't know, 88.
Wow.
Possibly.
Right. What was the first show that you saw? Like, what was the first concert you went to?
First show that I saw was the Red Hot Chili Peppers too.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers in this, what was, we didn't even really know how cool it was while it was going on, but it was a bowling alley, a radio station, an arcade, a gig. You could play volleyball in the back. Of course, it was a bar. It was 5 bars. It was all those things put together, and it was just amazing. We would go hang out at the Ranch Bowl just to go play pinball, and the Terminator 2 machine especially, and the Addams Family when that was out, and just yeah, it was just so much fun. So yeah, I went there when I guess I was 15, and it was like winter, and it was snowing, and there was a blizzard, and I got pulled out of the concert. I got horse collared out of my first show by my brother on on a command from my mom and my stepdad to kind of drag us out of there before I got stuck there, which would have been fucking awesome. Get
Totally
stuck at
right.
the club with the Chili Peppers when they were like just coming up. God,
Wow.
it was John Frusciante's first tour. I remember he was 18 and he proceeded to moon the audience after someone was giving him some shit. He dropped his pants and turned his ass to the crowd, and I was like, oh man.
Wow. And so that wouldn't have been Chad Smith. That would have been like Jack Irons.
I think it was Jack Irons still. Yeah. Honestly, I don't, yeah. It definitely wasn't Chad.
Yeah. You have 2 kids?
Yeah, I got 2 boys.
How old are they?
Falcon's 11 and Clay is 7. He'll be 8 in November.
Okay, about the same distance of mine. Do they know that Dad is in a famous band? Do they know that now?
I think they know that. They know it in a way or another. I mean, they know it from their mom being like, "Hey, don't wear 311 hats. Don't wear 311 shirts to school.
You don't wear that shit." Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they do anyway.
I let my kids wear Toddcast ball caps to school. Like, why not?
Yeah, why not? I don't see any problem with it. I mean, there is a thing in the school, since we're in Los Angeles. There's like people who work for DreamWorks and Pixar, and there's bands and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a low key, just kind of keep it down, let the kids be kids, not live in the shadow of their incredibly cool parents.
Exactly.
But it's also a resource too. Like, I don't see it as totally negative, because I don't know, we did this ourselves, and the same thing with all the animators and the filmmakers, and I think that's why we're here in town. I think that's why we gravitate towards each other, as we're creative people and we like learning from each other. So I don't know, maybe it's not totally appropriate in the kid platform, but it's not totally inappropriate too.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. On that same wavelength, like, what do you credit 311's longevity in the music industry to, beyond, of course, the great tunes? Like, what is it about your band that continues to just plow through?
Yeah, I mean, if it was just tunes for like tune's sake, if we were tunesmiths and not, philosophically sound in our own beliefs and pushing out a narrative that is uplifting, I think those underlying factors are really important to our longevity, and have pretty much everything to do with the community that we built up and the support that we still find, in boatloads around the country.
Yeah.
Countries.
And how much longer do you think you guys will be at her? I know it's a fucking stupid question, but like, has the pandemic made you guys rethink the game at all?
A little bit. I'm sure everyone did their own little kind of mystical journeys through, who am I and what am I doing here, and what's the future of this? But yeah, I mean, at least 10 more years. Everyone's kind of turning 50 this year, except for me.
Yeah.
And I'm ageless, and and yeah, I can't really see it going too much further past, like, as far as like the schedule that we're on now. I don't see us really ever stopping. I see taking breaks. I like learning from the Rolling Stones about how, like, if you say you're retired and you don't retire, it kind of doesn't look that good. Just say you're taking a break. I don't think really any musicians have fully retired unless they physically had to, or just had a total change of heart. I think most of us just need a break, because it's really difficult. And this last tour, these 30 some odd shows that I'm winding down, Got one today. Got 6 shows left on this tour.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty exhausting. You know, it was physically really difficult because we're only older and we're a little bit out of the routine of doing shows from having a 15-month break, by far the longest break we've ever had in 31 years. So yeah, it was difficult like that, but emotionally it was a lot to carry around because we're all dealing with our own bullshit, and so is everybody else. And the audience, I really feel like they projected that to us, like they trust us with those feelings, and we do the same. You know, it's reciprocative, and it's also a lot to carry on too. So yeah, you're laughing at my pronunciation.
Reciprocal, I think.
Yeah, there you go. I made it IVE. Whatever. I tried to say it yesterday on Instagram too, and I said it wrong.
We got
but
you.
Yeah, it's all about the positive message, and it's all about you know, they support us now. I don't know yet. That's a part of that circle, which is an easier way to say that concept. That we've lifted them up. They've gathered. They're their own community, not with or without us, but it exists outside of, you know, what we do. It doesn't really matter what we do. They've got their own thing going on that's 311 centric, and now we're motivated by their positivity and them saying, like, don't quit, you know, keep going, we need you. And that means the world. You know, that gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, it's like, how cool is it that your music lives on? Like it will live on. It will live on.
It will, and people will pass on the message from positive bands and whatever. Like if you've got a grind, you know, an axe to grind, a grind to axe. Oh my God. If you've got, you know, some tension to get out, that'll last too. You know, people, the totality of existence is within our artistic sphere, as I draw circles again. And you got to feel it all. We just represent that kind of bright side of things, you know, for the most part, because when we came up in the 90s, there was none of that. You know, it seemed like everyone was so down. There were so many junkies in the scene. You know, it was an ugly philosophy to kind of push around North America. So, and that was also our favorite music, but it wasn't like we were going to let those influences change who we are, because we're just, I don't know, we're going to roll through the problems. We're going to find a positive solution. We're not going to burn the house down because we can't find the salt.
Right. Okay, so I asked you to retweet yesterday, and you did, and I got a bunch of questions.
Good.
Oh, very nice.
Good
very
questions.
Nice. So let's plow through some of these 311 fan questions. Greg wants to know, what are you binge watching lately? Great question.
That is a good question. Very, very modern.
Nice.
Let me gather myself. Excuse me. I'm binge watching the 4th season of Fargo on Hulu through.
Oh, you are, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. God damn, it's good. I love all of the seasons, and I love living in that world. But this 4th season with Chris Rock and Jason Schwartzman is just incredible. I think I don't know if it's the best, but I love that it's doing what it's doing. And I'm on like the last episode, and I'm like watching 10 minutes at a time and finding some excuse to stop it and, you know, pursing it out. I like that about modern series watching. Who knew that we could watch 15 hours of a narrative and want more? You know, like
I know, right?
Like Ozark, and, you know, of course, Breaking Bad. It's just like, here's this like 50-hour movie that we're all kind of privy to now, and the world is a better place with that kind of long form storytelling. I think it's amazing. Yeah,
and I liked it, and maybe you felt the same way too, when series will just release like one episode a week, and it kind of almost is like nostalgic. It fucking makes you think of like the way it was when we were little kids. Like my kids were like, what? Why are they only releasing one a week? What is that? I'm like, that's the way all shows were. Yeah, you had to wait, and then it made you think about it. You know, it's kind of cool. You can wait the whole season and then binge watch it afterwards, but that takes a lot of discipline too. If you really want to watch. Nobody's got that kind of willpower. Like, come on, that's not happening. All right, let's go to Brian Obadensky. Obi, He's a NASCAR driver.
That's right.
Huge fan of your band.
He had a logo on one of his cars for a year. That was awesome.
That's right.
One of our bright moments.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast as well. So he's wondering, what's your favorite IPA and which whiskey bourbon tops your list?
Oh, gosh.
Is that IPA going back to your buddy?
What's
You're
that?
saying the guy that was in the band with you before, he's got the brewery now. Does he have one of your favorites?
I don't know. No, I couldn't say his stuff is my favorite. I would go with a Los Angeles brewer, probably Highland Park. Highland Park Brewery, which is just like 20 minutes away from me, is incredible. Totally mom and pop, built it up. They've got 2 places now. It's always just so fresh. Going to the brewer is kind of a, it's an ace that you can throw. That's going to make everything taste better.
Yeah.
What is it? They've got so many. But that's one of the best things about touring nowadays is there's great breweries in every city pretty much. I mean, especially if you look for them. But out east in Boston, I mean, they've got Trillium and Treehouse, I believe, and it's insane how good it can be when you go right to the source. So I can't remember the Highland Park one. I've got one in the fridge. It's like it's not I Love LA, but it's like, it's an LA beer, by Highland Park that I would say is my favorite. It's not hazy. It's a East Coast. It's 7%. It's got a little pine. It's got a little dank. It's very citrusy. I'm not a
drink a few of them and see what's up at 7%.
Yeah, every night.
Yeah. Whiskey bourbon. Which one tops?
Whiskey bourbon. Oh, I just got a new one, and I can't remember the name of it. And it's got like this key thing. It's like if you collect all 7 keys and come to the brewery, they'll give you some like secret hooch, which sounds nice. So much fun. That sounds like adventure time.
Yeah, totally.
But what is it? It's like, I'm gonna just be making up a name. But back in the day, me and Essay, when we were on a bus together alone, which was nice. When we had 3 band buses, which was a little excessive, but made it easy to tour. It's like, hey, you want to go out on the road? Like, yeah,
hell yeah, I do.
Private apartment. We would get Oban from Scotland on the rider, and that's an easy whiskey to find pretty much everywhere. That's it's a home run every time.
Yeah. So
there's probably better stuff out there, and there's easily better stuff out there, but for $40-50 and you can find it, it's a good pickup. It's good to have in your drawer.
Yeah. When I was doing radio here in Vancouver at a station called CFOX, I used to have the show called the Rock Report, and it was basically like music news and band interviews and performances and that kind of thing. And there was one year, maybe a couple of years, where it was sponsored by Jim Beam, and they flew us down to Louisville, Kentucky to do the show from their fucking distillery. We're drinking. Have you ever had bourbon right from the cask?
No, I have not.
Dude.
Yep. Someday.
That's the way to fly.
Yeah, I bet. I've got roots in the area in Kentucky. My mom grew up there. My grandfather on her side ran the barrel division of the Seagram's distillery in Louisville, and was probably pretty good at it because he was an avid drinker.
Probably pretty good, yeah. Emma's got a tough question. I think this is going to be hard for you to answer.
But I want to do that. We should do a barrel tasting in either Vancouver or Los Angeles or Scotland.
Down.
I know you're in.
Yeah.
We'll bring Obi.
Well, they also flew me out to, now I'm just going to feel like I'm bragging here, but they flew me out to the Jameson distillery in Ireland, and I did my show St. Paddy's Day a couple years back to back, first class flights and everything. Boom. Same thing, right from the cask. Like, fuck, dude, that's the way to go. So
that's
Emma,
so cool. Congratulations.
Yes. Emma wants to know, can you ask him what his favorite song is to play live?
Yeah, also another kind of tough question. It's one of those questions that would probably change day to day. You know,
Right.
it's not favorite doesn't really stick with me that often. I mean, I don't know. I got lots of favorites.
Is there a specific song you're like, man, that has got to be in the set list?
It's a lot of songs, and we've got 300 plus songs
Yeah.
in our songbook now, and I want to play as many as possible. And honestly, we're up to about 100 on this tour, so I think we're doing pretty good as far as mixing up the set list.
Wow.
And that's something that's really important to me, something that's always been really important to me. And
yeah,
it got to be more of a fight within the band as far as like, you know, what are we doing? How are we supposed to do this? It's like, just
right.
keep playing all the songs. You know, why not? Why wouldn't we?
Totally. Why wouldn't you? You made them. You recorded them. Why not?
And we can play them better and better if we just stick to it. But I'll say Sever is probably my favorite song to play because it does a little bit of everything. It's chunky. It's got, you know, Nick and Essay are singing. They're also kind of rapping on it. It's got these syncopated parts that I came up with. Tim wails at the end. It's kind of like an Iron Maiden moment for us in the band, which was something that I wanted to happen, that I didn't think would ever fucking happen. Mm-hmm. And Chad just kills because Chad's fucking Chad. So yeah, I think that's Sever is us on all cylinders, if you will, and flying high.
Sean says, hey, his real name is Aaron Wills. Who nicknamed him Peanut?
My friend Boyd Cameron in Omaha, when we were actually like in a garage band together. We did a performance of Bauhaus. I think we did Stigmata Martyr, which is a very dark song. And we played it for like the committee that was going to decide whether or not we would be allowed in the talent show. And this was the year before I made it on stage. And we did great. We played the shit out of that song, but I think it was like the wrong choice. Like, you know, the public school wasn't into goth for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it didn't fly. But it was a lot of fun to play, and Boyd's a huge influence in my life, and I miss that he's not more in it. And you know, it's like Stand By Me. It's like the kids that you have, the friends that you have when you're 10 or 12 are the best friends you'll ever have in your life. Yeah. He's one of those guys.
How true is that? Yeah. Steve wants to know, which sports do you like to watch and play?
I like to play. I'll play almost anything unless I'm getting hit super hard, because that sucks. But unless it's basketball, because basketball does lots of hits. I mean, basketball is my favorite anything as far as sport ball. Playing it is a lifelong, you know, whatever want, you know, whenever I get a chance. And I miss the guys that I play with. We haven't been able to assemble since everything shut down.
Right.
But yeah, I love the Lakers. I've been a Laker fan since Magic Johnson, and first listening to the Chili Peppers. I had a lot of influence in that. And then you know, the Showtime team was so easy to like. So that was just kind of like, it's like stamped into my head. Mm-hmm. And my mom will watch anything. My mom will watch Highlight. She'll watch Tiddlywinks. If there was competitive paint drying watching, she would watch that, you know, and I love that about her. She loves competition. She's just all about it, all about seeing that, you know, that who gets the edge up, who gets the edge over. Yeah. But lately, I've been getting really into F1 racing. Unbelievable. Yeah. You know, the Netflix door opening of Drive to Survive, that series was really great to like kind of know the men driving the machines, and then the team behind them, and the situation here and there, and all these dramatics that just happen in real life, especially when there's billions of dollars floating around, is just it's incredible what those guys pull off. And I love Lewis Hamilton. What a fucking badass. I want to shake that hand.
Oh yeah, I've met a couple of those guys. I met Patrick Carpentier, Alex Tagliani, I think his last name is. Good, fucking good dudes, man.
Yeah, good dudes. God, what discipline they have.
Like, dude, and like nerves of steel too, right? Like, think of the speeds that these guys are going. It's insane.
I wouldn't want anyone that I know personally to be doing that. So it's fun to watch from the sidelines because it is such a, I mean, it's a fucking kick in the groin, you know, it's just,
totally.
and it's a gut clench for
oh yeah, man,
90 minutes. And I love the broadcast. You know, it's incredible. Like watching the show and learning the people and all that, you know, Netflix format is interesting. And that was, like I said, that's how I got introduced to it. But then watching it like on, if it's Sky Sports or ESPN, you know, they're just channeling it in, getting yelled at by these English guys about every turn and every move, all up and down the track. It's 24 drivers. It's like, God, this is great. So much fun. So yeah, that's been my new obsession as far as sports. And
yeah,
I don't think it'll ever wane.
Yeah,
I want to see,
very cool.
I want to see it in person now. I want to take it to the next level.
Yeah, you know, the Indy 500 would come to Vancouver.
Wow.
And my uncle had a apartment complex that was like right there. You could look down and just see everything, and it was just the coolest, man. Just the coolest.
Best. How cool.
Yeah. Okay, Alan wants to know, how did the T&P combo song come about, and talk about the writing process.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was great that I got to think about that beforehand. I mean, I probably would have came up with the same answer if I hadn't even, you know, been prompted by the question yesterday. But
yeah,
I got to thinking about it. It's cool to think about. Yeah, I mean, we weren't living together anymore. We had moved, you know, into separate places, but we were around each other a lot, and we were writing a lot, and we were touring a ton. You know, that was written in maybe late 94, early 95. You can see us playing it before the album came out in summer of 95. So it had to be written in 94. And I love that about like the early days of the band, where we would write something and we would play something brand new for an audience that had no chance of ever hearing it, and rock the shit out of them. You know, like, you ain't heard this before, but I know you're gonna fucking like it. That's that kind
and
of,
they talk about a great litmus test. Like you can find out right now, does this song, do people like it?
Yes. Yeah. It was that, it's that power of being in your early 20s and that boldness, you know, like, you know the rules, but you know how to break them too. And you're just riding the wave of this collective group. It was just amazing. But yeah, we just sat down and worked it out. Honestly, I think the first riff is mine. The second riff is Tim's. The third riff is mine, and then the chorus is his. The boom. Yeah, we just sat down and hashed it out. I think I played the first riff for him, and then it was like, what else? You know, what do you got? And he had it already. It was something he had already written. We were just pushing things together, kind of a lot like Homebrew, the way Homebrew came out, and a few other songs. Just like, you know, sometimes it's not okay to force things, and then sometimes things just work, you know, and you can think that it's forcing it because it already existed, you know, autonomously. But music wants to mesh, you know, and it's how open of a mind do you have to letting that process happen. And it was just puzzle pieces fitting together. It's like, oh, that fucking works. So we just, you know, we played it a bunch of times, and we were being egged on by Chad and Nick for sure. Like, they were like, oh yeah, that's awesome. You know, as them being the principal writers, it's good to have them, you know, helping us make sense out of, you know, what we don't, you know, I don't know, pull off as often as they do. So it was a good like confidence builder in that way, internally and externally, like by bringing it to the stage early. And yeah, it ended up being a great song on a fantastic album.
Yeah, totally. Mark wants to know, is he a Marvel or DC guy?
Oh, it's easy. It's easy. I've had this Punisher symbol on me since '93.
Nice.
Yeah. So the conservative yahoos that want to take it over,
there you go,
they better know that this progressive has been a Punisher fan for way longer.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. And I've got a bunch of comics too. I've got like a box full of stuff that, you know, every once in a while I see how it's not really earned much money, but maybe someday.
I know, right? Like as a kid, you're like, "Fuck, I'm gonna be so fucking rich."
Woo, woo, and I love it. You know,
yeah,
blood and guts and money. Woo.
Yeah. So, did you like the Punisher series on Netflix?
Yes, that was the first time they got it right. I was always of the mind that they were never going to be able to pull it off unless it was like animated to like kind of do the gnarly as gnarly as it needed to be done.
Like especially the was it 6-issue, the limited series 6-issue Punisher comic book as a kid? Like, fuck, right. Dude, that was violent, man.
Those first 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what got me started. A friend of mine that was a neighbor had a poster up and was a comic book freak, and I think he gave it to me when I moved, and then when I got to LA, I started picking up comics just out of boredom more or anything. You know, something you could buy for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
And get a collection, and you had to wait for new ones to come out too. You know, that was kind of awesome, and it just came like a little minor obsession, and it was so much, you know, like about the stories and the art. You know, it's just amazing kind of world to fall into. But yeah, I've always been more Marvel. But I think my favorite comic book is a DC comic called it was the Arkham Asylum by Batman.
Yeah.
It was, and you know, it was a thick graphic novel where Batman goes into the asylum, and I think he gets, you know, he does mushrooms and runs into all the enemies, and it's just, he ends up like walking out with the Joker arm in arm as they've kind of reconciled. They're not that reconciled, but they understand that they need each other. I love that dynamic with Batman and Joker. So
yeah,
there's enough for both, but Marvel gets the edge up on me. Although that Batman comic kind of changed my life. You know, that art was like photographic and drawn, kind of mixed medium style, and then, you know, throwing in those hallucinogens and that, you know, that conflict kind of resolved. It's like, God, you had me at fucking page 1.
Yeah, and I got the if you haven't read this one, I got the Batman Hush graphic novel. Dude, write that down, man. You're gonna love this one. It is freaking amazing.
Cool.
Batman Hush.
Got it.
Which superpower would you want to have?
Oh, I'd want to fly. I mean, invisibility is so creepy.
Totally.
Yeah, you can't say that. You can't even be allowed, even if that's what you want to do, you can't say it anymore.
Can't say it out loud.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'd want that, but I'm sure I could find some practical uses for it. But flying would be so cool. I'm so jealous of birds, and I think that's why, you know, I don't know. I've always thought that would be a cool existence, you know, up in the trees.
Yeah. Funny.
Son named Falcon.
My kid's always saying that too. Levi, my youngest. TJ wants to know: is there a timeline for a new album or a follow-up to Voyager?
Not just yet. We're getting those, you know, mechanisms moving slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm. It's been a fucking weird like year and a half.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to just kick back in. I don't know how authentic it would be. I think we were a little disappointed with Voyager. I think it needed to stay in the oven for about 6 months longer, and be released, you know, that much later. Not that it's flawed inherently. I think it was just rushed, you know. So I think I'm still recovering from that Band-Aid being ripped off, at least in a little bit of a way. But me and Nick have written a little bit. We're on a bus together now. Me and Essay and Nick are on a bus together. I thought we would have written more on this tour, but, you know, at least we didn't drive each other crazy. So mission accomplished. But yeah,
that's a win.
Yeah, it's total win. We're making our way to it. We're in no big rush. Like I said, you know, this will be our 14th album. So we really wanted anything that comes out, we want it to be really, really good. There's no reason to rush out some bullshit.
Yeah. Chris has a tough one for you. We'll wrap this up here pretty quick here too as well. Chris wants to know top 3 favorite bands you've seen live.
Oh God, wow. That's tough.
That's hard.
That's super, super fucking tough.
Yeah, that's hard. Well,
Tom Waits is probably my favorite concert. I saw Tom Waits in '99 at the Wiltern here in Los Angeles.
Oh, nice.
Which was, it was absolutely like, it was production like, God, I don't even know how to describe it. It was so minimalist that there was nothing on the stage, right? It was kind of that era. It was the first time I'd ever really seen that. And there was just this huge like screen behind him. It wasn't, like a screen nowadays. It was just like a, a white screen that the LD would just put, red, just be red or just be blues, these huge color swaths that they would throw out so you wouldn't really be distracted, but the mood would change so much. It wasn't like ba 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 ba, keep things going because we need some excitement. This is supposed to be exciting.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're supposed to kind of like fall down the tunnel in a Tom Waits show.
Yeah, and isn't that incredible? Like that a color will change the atmosphere and the mood. Like that's cool, man.
Yeah, it was incredible. That first Chili Peppers show, for sure, was amazing. And the last show I saw before the world stopped was Tool.
Oh, nice.
And that was fucking incredible.
Justin Chancellor's a fucking stud.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it almost comes off as, it's like close to effortless for them, although it's so complex. Like they're like carving a diamond on stage,
Yeah.
all these little cuts, they know exactly what to do, all these shapes that they're throwing around. And speaking of art and experience and just having the audience in the palm of their hand of 20,000 people, it's like, and then night after night, and how abstract it is, and time signature, just whatever, we'll do whatever the fuck we want. Drum solo, those 10 minutes long that could have been 20 minutes long, is Danny blows my mind. And I that whole band is incredible. But yeah, the rhythm section, the engine room is we're lucky to be alive to witness that. That is
it's a V12.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. I think my last show before the pandemic was I think it was Queens of the Stone Age.
Cool. I saw them open up for Ween.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Saw them open up for Ween at Spaceland, out here in Northeast Los Angeles. And Ween would definitely be in that top list of bands that I've seen. And that's the band that I've seen the most. I've probably seen them like maybe 8 or 10 times. Yeah. And they always put on the most fucking rockin' show.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen them, you need to see them. And that goes for all you motherfuckers.
All right, Pino, I'm going to wrap it up here. One last question for you. And thank you again for doing this.
Oh yeah, happy.
Do you have a near-death story where you're like, holy crap, man, I should have died there?
God, I mean, I've been woken up so many times with the like brakes being locked up on the bus, thinking that I'm going to die, like that, to the hundreds of times that's happened. I can't kind of let that go.
Yeah.
And that's it's troubling because there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. A lot of touring bands will say like, oh yeah, man, driving across Canada in the fucking wintertime is just treacherous, right? Like white knuckling it through every single, because of course, like between each big city in Canada, it's not like the States, right? It's like 5-hour drive, 8-hour drive.
Yeah, it's all like the West Coast. Right. Yeah, it's all just huge spaces, and it should be. We need it like that. But yeah, there's a reason why we don't tour really that much in the winter. We used to here and there, and I remember running into bands like the Cadillac Tramps, and they would say that they loved touring in the winter because it was so much easier. Like going outside after a show when it's cold and you're hot as fuck to cool down. Like, God, what a great way to think about it. I totally disagree. And because more people
wrong, but it's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, but yeah, that's great. Hey, good for you. What was the question?
Oh, near death.
Oh yeah, near death. Yeah, I don't know. Not that much outside of that. I mean, there's had some close calls in cars. But yeah, nothing really too bad. I mean, I'm pretty good at self-preservation, so I think that's why I've kind of avoided that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I don't really, yeah, I'd
Oh,
say
they
no.
would be screaming at you if you had a story. You'd know it. Awesome. Peanut, thank you again for doing this. It's been too long. Big fan of your band for like since the get-go. You're super easy to find online at Peanut on Twitter. What are you on Instagram?
I'm Aaron_Wills.
Your actual name.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I guess we'll see you online.
Cool. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate it. Sorry I was playing hard to get. We'll do
not
it
at all.
very, very soon.